Hello and welcome to the Disruptive Author. We're about to launch issue 13, our spring issue, and our cover girl, our cover author is Letisha Living, who is on this call with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about Letisha's journey as an author. So welcome, Letisha.
Hi, Deb. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. It's quite exciting because, and I want to say this right now, congratulations on your most recent achievement, which is, of course, is the launching of Finding Yourself After Stroke. So for the listeners, can you just tell us a little bit about your author journey? So how many books you've authored or co-authored or contributed to so far?
Sure, thanks. So this book is the fourth that I have co-authored, and it's the first that I've project managed.
And you did a remarkable job, I have to say. You're like the what is it? The standard or the template version. So it's been really great to be working with you. Big undertaking though, isn't it?
It is. It was bigger than what I expected it to be.
Yeah, I think, those people that we have worked with in the past that have project managed compilation books have pretty much said the same thing each time. So tell me, again, for the listeners, how did you actually first become published? When did that happen? And what made you decide to go down this path?
So I first became published in 2015 when I worked with you on a book titled Parenting a Child on the Spectrum. So that was 2014. We did our submission to that book and published in 2015. And then there was the follow-up book to that. And then I've also contributed to another book titled Mothers Making a Difference.
Jess Cermak, yes.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about your journey with your latest project, Finding Yourself After Stroke?
So this is a book that was on my mind for a couple of years. So I'm very passionate about writing about my own lived experiences. When I say passionate, it's also scary. So to put your own life experiences into a book for other people to read. So I did that for Parenting a Child on the Spectrum, and Finding Yourself After Stroke is very similar to that, as in it's a compilation of lived experience stories. I've been thinking about it for a few years because, well, I am a young stroke survivor, and when I first started out on my stroke journey, post-stroke journey, I felt very isolated and alone. I didn't know anyone else that was a young person that had had a stroke. Yeah. And I felt very disconnected. So that's where this idea of putting together a compilation of stories so that people can see that they aren't alone, that this does happen to other people. It brings about awareness for young stroke. And when they're reading it, they can feel relatable and help them on their post-stroke healing.
That's fantastic, Letisha. I just think, like we've talked about this, no one else has done anything like this around the world. So it is a world first. But what I found, so having read through the book myself, what I found interesting was, hearing about how people presented, how their symptoms showed up, and how often professionals didn't know what was going on. There is so much gold in this book, in my opinion. It doesn't talk to professionals from the point of view of telling them how to treat someone, but there's certainly gold in there for helping people to identify when someone's having a stroke and what can be going on for them and what needs they might have around that. So I think it's a great opportunity for professionals to learn and grow. And I think you've done a remarkable job.
Thanks. And it wasn't actually my first thought. It was something that kind of progressed as the book progressed. So when I first started, it was the idea was to be a gift for other young stroke survivors, for their inspiration, their hope, their connection. And as the book was being put together, that light bulb was going off that this is a lived experience resource. This is something that physiotherapists, occupational therapists, acute care teams, medical teams need to read. I think I've told you, one time I presented into hospital with a headache, and someone had said to me, I've never seen anybody present to ER with a headache and have it be a stroke. And I'm thinking, but that was me. That's exactly how I presented. And
yes.
So I see the value in it.
I was just going to say, and that vulnerability, that's where the power is, I think, and the learning. You talked about, sharing your lived experience, and it's a bit scary. But the value in that is enormous. So, and just on that, getting vulnerable, that's really where you started with that first project, Parenting a Child on Spectrum. Was becoming an author like something that you dreamed about before? Was it always on the radar for you, or was that a surprise when the opportunity came?
It's a bit of irony, actually, because when I finished high school, I went to uni and was studying a double degree in arts, in art and writing, but I didn't finish that degree. And so here I am all these years later actually writing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how does writing lead into your work now? So is there a way for you to put those together? Can you use, what you're doing with your writing in your career?
Yeah, and it's kind of something that I fell into by sharing my lived experience. So I do write, I contribute for blogs and content, podcasts, etc., for the Stroke Foundation. So that's come about from this. I advocate for young stroke, and I have a business where I help connect stroke survivors with supports that they need. So this book has been an absolute gift in that space.
That's amazing. Well done. Do you think there are any more books in your future? Are you actually planning any more projects, or you just want to have a little rest for the moment because you've been working very hard?
There is another book in the works.
Just one?
Well, this is me we're talking to. There's probably lots of books.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But in terms of, is there another book with finding yourself after stroke? Yes, but it'll be a little bit different. So this book is the lived experiences of the survivors themselves. And what I'm looking at doing as a second book is painting the picture of stroke as a whole. So stroke doesn't just impact the survivor, it impacts the people around them as well. So their partners, their children, significant others, people close to them in the community are also impacted by stroke. So I want to hear their stories. I want to put a place, give them a voice and a space to share how they had to find themselves after stroke, even though they weren't the actual survivor of stroke.
Yeah, so it's another point of view altogether. Very interesting. So Letisha, we're going to wind up here now, but just again for the listeners, where can people find you and communicate with you, and most important of all, where can they get a copy of your book, Finding Yourself After Stroke?
So the listeners can connect via social media at Finding Yourself After Stroke is on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn, and we also have a website, and they can email info@findingyourselfafterstroke.com.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm very excited about what you've done. I feel very grateful to have had some part in that, have walked that journey with you. I certainly love working with you and hope we get a chance to do it again. But again, just thank you for today and for jumping on with us.
Thanks, Deb. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, if you're listening and you want to grab a copy of the book, the links will be in Letisha's interview in the book, in the magazine. So you'll be able to follow those links directly. But that's it for today. So bye for now.